All right, folks, part 3, final component here, my 10 lists. What are the big pitfalls that I see athletes make? Now, this is an important component of the show. It's a bit fun, I enjoy it, and it's pretty simple. In no particular order, these are 10 things that I see athletes inside of Purple Patch make mistakes that derail their goals and ambitions. And they're 10 things that I see outside of Purple Patch happen consistently. The first big mistake, check the box mindset. We talked a little bit about this before, about the driving mindset of the success of the Purple Patch athletes. Don't chase weekly training hours. Don't chase checking the box of every single week. A plan is a plan, including a training plan. So you set your mission and your vision of what your training should be like. And you build your program, or your coach builds your program. And it is written on a page. It might be in Training Peaks or Final Surge or any of the other platforms. It might be on a PDF. It doesn't matter, but you've got the 7-day written. The worst mindset is my success, pass, fail, is I just check the box on every single workout. Because life is not a spreadsheet. And by smashing that mindset, it opens up that flexible, dynamic mindset where you can start making real smart, real-time decisions. If we were in a utopian world, I would be coaching you day to day. When you're riding your bike, I would be on a moped next to you. When you're running, I would be on a bike next to you. You might get sick of my stories and my ridiculous, ironic humor, but I would be there. And I would be looking in your eyes, I would be watching you move, I would be understanding everything around your world, and I would be throttling the training dose relative to what I'm seeing. And we might push on more. If I think there's scope and capacity, I might pull you back. On a day-to-day basis, you might not even realize, but what I'm doing is dosing the work relative to where your systemic stress level is. That's what training is. And so when you have a static plan, don't just check the box. Adopt the similar mindset, but you're in controls. You're flying the plane. Do that and you can be successful. Good. Number 2, the obsession on outcomes. Every single training session is not a validation exercise. In fact, if you take all of the training sessions that you're going to do in 2025, the vast majority of them are going to be, just kind of did it. Then you're going to have a few of them that are complete unmitigated disasters. And then you're also going to have some of them that are just amazing, where you feel like you've just got limitless energy. You just feel fantastic. And that's the spectrum. The meat of them are going to be kind of done. And the key to your success is unlocking consistency. And your key to your success is when you're doing those sessions, whether they're meh, whether they're or whether they're yippee, any one of those along the spectrum, you're focusing on trying to execute the intention. You're trying to do them with the best form and posture that you can. And you're looking to grow and improve technically. Just a little bit, 1% better. That's what it is. But any session alone, any week of training alone, is not your bellwether of success. So if you have a bad day, don't worry about it. That's normal. If you back off or you fail mentally, which sometimes happens, don't worry about it. Learn from it. There's probably other stuff going on. Don't treat it as pass, fail. Really important. Big pitfall. Number 3, very simple one, and I'm going to say it. Don't underfuel your training. I would say this is one of the number one things. There's about 5 number one things because they're all on equal playing field. But one of the number one things that we see. The vast majority of athletes of all levels underconsume their daily calories relative to their training demands. That includes underconsuming protein, not eating enough carbohydrates, total calories, and not fueling enough, particularly post-workouts. Ensure that you put intention behind your nutrition, not just to have a really healthy diet and a platform of health, but also fuel your training. Food is fuel. Ask yourself the simple question, what do I need? That's the mindset, rather than what do I want? A really key defining bellwether of performance. Fuel your life, fuel training, you'll thrive. Don't avoid that pitfall. Number 4, here comes the common mistake, dumping strength training in spring. It's so easy as the swim bike run dissolves in focus in the off season to bring up strength. This is going to be the year. But once the weather warms up and we start dialing up the focus and the intention and the training load, strength evaporates. It's a mistake. Don't make it. Commit to the arc. We've got a whole thread going on in the Purple Patch Hub right now, our private community, talking about strength training, the value. I recounted stories of when the Purple Patch pros, part of our defining universal practice of behaviors, year-round strength, and almost no one, none of their peers that were non-Purple Patch athletes, almost none of them were doing strength. It was a waste of time. It's just taking up time that they could be doing endurance sports. There isn't a professional athlete and a professional endurance athlete, highly successful over the course of many months and many years, that isn't integrating strength anymore. Year round, do it. Avoid that pitfall. Number 5, we talked about it, I won't spend much time. The obsession around FTP, functional threshold power, as the driver of your success. It's not. Your functional threshold will probably drive up a little bit as you're getting fitter. It might even plateau, and it probably will even decline a little bit if you're getting ready for an Ironman. That sometimes happens with an athlete that can still be really successful. It is one small component that helps frame and give you a guideline around training intensity and not much else. It is not wholly valuable. It's a tool, and all of the other parameters, and yes, I'm an exercise physiologist and I understand all about critical power and different methods and better methods to establish training zones. But training zones and the obsession of FTP power, let it evaporate. That's not a bellwether of you becoming a better athlete. So don't fall into the trap. Don't think pass-fail on the training sessions. Don't think pass-fail if your FTP isn't going up. Pretty simple, important. Good. Number 6. Only got 5 to go. Number 6, training with poor form under fatigue. This is a recipe for injury and poor training performance. It also amplifies muscle damage, particularly if you're running. So do it well or pause doing it. I don't like athletes running particularly with poor form. And so we have a mantra at Purple Patch. Run as well as you can, for as long as you can, as often as you can, and breaking up between a little resets. And those resets still include locomotion, so it's walking. It is a core component for you to drive every piece of cardiovascular endurance training that you get, every piece of muscular endurance and resilience development, and you also are practicing good form, typically at a faster pace. Walk breaks are wonderful. Refuse to do bad form in practice. Do it well. Now, sometimes you're out doing a soul-filling run. Maybe you're doing an easy spin on the bike. Posture's not there. You're thinking about other stuff. That's okay. That's okay. You're not just doing desperately bad form because you're fighting like Rocky Balboa through the pain. You don't need to burst through barn doors. Okay, you want to be a ballerina in this. And so fatigue-induced form decline, don't allow yourself to do it. Lock in with the walk breaks, particularly in running. Okay, really good. Number 7. Well, this is my favorite. Don't waste your time in the swimming pool going up and down the pool, slow, what they call long slow distance, LSD, yeah, I get the joke, with low tension on the water. A good friend of mine, Jerry Rodriguez, says, don't pet the kiddie. You need to apply tension underwater, you need to hold water, and you need to accelerate water. And that means that you're going to be swimming a little bit faster. And so in swimming, generally, particularly adult onset swimmers, you're going to get more out of doing short intervals with little resets so that you can apply not just good form, we talked about that, but good tension on the water to help you create propulsion. It is better to string together 80 times 25 than it is swimming 2,000 yards straight just to get ready for the distance. Don't make the pitfall of over-drilling or doing too easy long-distance swimming. It's going to be a low return on investment. Really key. Number 8. I think by my mathematicals, ladies and gentlemen, 8, 9, and 10, we've got 3 more to go. Number 8, don't skip your sleep hours consistently to cram training in. This comes back to that flex mindset. Really, really important. A bedrock of a platform of health is critical. Your number one performance-enhancing tool that you have that's free is sleep. If you want to get the most out of your training, prioritize sleep. That means that on a week-to-week basis, sometimes you might need to get up early. Sometimes to cram that workout in. But doing it week after week, it's going to come back and haunt you. Bedrock of sleep. I like to say 300 days out of 365, I'm getting great sleep. Then you've got the travel days, the pre-race days, the days that you just sleep poor, the days that you've got a little bit of sickness, the days that you've got other things on your mind and you wake up at night. All of that happens. But as a habit and as a bedrock of high performance, sleep is critical. Don't compromise sleep, particularly when it's under your control. I'd rather you do a little less training and execute highly effective training than cramming it in every week to chase outcomes. Number 9, don't refuse to back off. If you've got all of the signs that you're tired, and that might be waking up with low motivation, really cloudy thoughts, maybe a suppressed heart rate, your resting heart rate is actually lower, and you've got the fatigue. When you've gone through warm-up, you can't get your heart rate up. You're just feeling really tired. You have 2 or 3 days in a row of pretty poor workouts. It's that 4th day and 5th day where you create all of the havoc. The refusal to back off and the quit when you've got all of the signs that you just keep barging through, that's where you get sick, you get injured, you have poor performance progression where bad training becomes a habit. But having the courage to back off and periodically have 1, 2, 3, 4 days that you clean out, you keep things really, really easy, is a recipe to long-term success, greater consistency, and over the course of the season, more hours of effective training. And more hours of effective training equals better results. And so that stubbornness, often guided by a lack of confidence or maybe some fear, that is the pitfall. And so if you have all of the information, metric-driven, self-assessment and quantifiable and qualitative data and inputs, if it's telling you the picture, logic, not emotion, back off, get in front of it. A short-term decision to help a long-term gain, that's going to be the driver. Really important. I always used to say when I used to coach age group swimming, the kids would just spend their time trying to get out of stuff, hiding under the lane lines. But as you coach adults, they spend their whole time trying to add more. And so maybe be sometimes a little bit more like the kid. Just telling you. And finally, number 10. Here's number 10 for my 2025. And this is something that I wouldn't have said 5 years ago because I wouldn't have had to. My number 10 pitfall, don't make this mistake. Don't train in super shoes. Pretty simple. The super shoes make you faster in racing. But let's think about what they are. They are effectively a trampoline. And what that means is that they do a lot of the work that you want your ankle complex and lower leg to be doing. And so if you consistently run in super shoes, there is a degradation of the integrity of your Achilles, your calf, everything around the plantar area. You want that to be strong, springy, and robust. Your foot, your ankle, your lower leg, it's a spring. And you want to minimize, you want to keep it strong. You want to keep high tensile strength. And don't remove that by putting a whole super shoe around it. Sure, choose a super shoe, the right shoe for your racing needs and your level. That's okay for many athletes. It's good to race in them. But unless you're running very fast for a short period, more form-based. Super shoes, save them for racing. Become a little bit familiar with 1 or 2 training sessions, but out of that, with your shoes in training, I prefer a more neutral shoe that has relatively minimal support that you can actually go and execute and strengthen everything around the lower leg. And by the way, walking around, I'm going to add a part B to this, walking around in daily life, don't walk around in your running shoes. That's the same challenge. Walk around in a really neutral shoe that's comfortable.